Something my wife's way better at than me.
You got this, you got this. You've watched her sew things.
I have.
You've watched the cat sit on fabric while she's trying to sew things.
I am a hell of a stitch ripper. Let me tell you, my technique is flawless at stitch ripping.
Yeah, seam ripping is very good. It's not scary on serging. You can do it, I promise. You just have to find the right one. Just once you snip it, it just falls apart. So, other questions? Yeah?
Do you have a cosplay page?
I do. It is Miss Kit Quinn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's pretty easy to spell. It's Miss, like M-I-S-S, then Kit, 3 letters. I'm not a car, I'm a candy bar. K-I-T. And then Quinn, like Harley Quinn.
Cute line.
I'm sweet like a candy bar. I'm not a car.
Except when you're wearing...
Except when I'm wearing the kid dress, and then yeah, all right, we'll give it. All right, so how about you guys? Do you want to introduce yourselves? I realize we are not doing anything in order. So who are you, Bernie?
Hi, I'm Bernie Bregman of Nerds Like Us and Club Cosplay. I'll be hosting tonight's awesome free after party that I hope you all go to. All badges are welcome. One day too. I can be found at Nerds Like Us, is where most of my stuff is, and then also my new brand, Club Cosplay, which is a traveling nightclub for nerds.
And who are you, Steven?
I am Steven Meisner. I am Solo Roboto Industries. I'm a professional prop maker. I make props full-time for a living. Like this shiny Wonder Woman armor next to me.
He did make my armor. I just sanded it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I do. The cosplay thing is for fun for me.
Yep. And I'm Kit Quinn. I do cosplay stuff. It's fun.
And this apparently is the cosplay age.
Yeah. Welcome.
I'll ask a question, maybe just to stir some thought, but to you guys, what starts you off on a project? What inspires you, or really gets your creative juices flowing to conceptualize your next costume, or who do you choose to cosplay as and why, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Was that your question? I'm sorry I stole your question.
She's got so many questions.
But you like that question?
Do we have your approval on this one? Okay, thank you, good.
Okay.
We're here for you. For me, it all comes from a design that speaks to my aesthetic. So if it's clean lines, if it's colors I enjoy, if it's got a silhouette that I think is flattering, that'll currently more influence my decision if I want to do that sort of costume. Because I have over 40 costumes in my closet, so I've kind of gone through the ones that like I was a super fan of growing up. Like I've gone through those costumes, and now I'm looking for interesting challenges that happen to coincide with characters that I love. Like Catwoman has been a longtime favorite of mine ever since Batman the Animated Series, because I grew up on that. I didn't do that version of Catwoman because it wasn't interesting enough to me, but the Golden Age Catwoman, like the purple dress with the cape, like that one spoke more to me. So I did that design.
What was your first?
My first costume technically is Sailor Mars, but I also did Snow White and the Cheshire Cat that weekend. But Sailor Mars, that one hit first. We know what we're talking about over here, Sailor Scouts.
What about you, Steve?
Let's see, I don't have all that many costumes. One of the downsides to making props for other people's costumes as a job is I don't have a lot of free time to make things for myself. And I also get to do the really challenging stuff for other people. So when it comes to me, I more and more have started to like costumes like this. This is really, really lazy. People ask me how I do this. None of this is not painted on. The only thing painted is my face. This is liquid latex. You can buy it in a bottle. I mix in some acrylic paint from Michael's, so it's black. And I put it.
Maybe
there's probably a safer way to do that for your skin, but I only do it like 2 days a year.
We just got a little disclaimer there. Maybe
Yeah.
don't.
I can't advise you to do that, but I'm exposed to much worse on a daily basis, so it's not going to kill me.
As long as you don't blow an eyeball up or anything.
Yeah. But this is it's a bodysuit off eBay that I took a t-shirt, cut in half, and just found the middle line, stitched it down the middle, and painted it with puff paint, again from Michael's. So this was a night's work. And the makeup takes all of 5 minutes. I have a little squeeze bottle. It's an empty puff paint bottle, and I just gum it on there in the in the mirror. Like I came over here this morning, went to the bathroom, stuck it on, let it dry, and it looks really gross, and it lasts all day.
Professionals.
But this one started because we went to New York Comic-Con a couple of years ago, and it was the anniversary of Spider-Man, so everyone was doing Spider-People costumes. She made Spider-Woman, self-made, the other,
She did another version.
another alternate one, yeah, and I was like, well, I don't really want to be Venom. I was like, I could do this, I hadn't seen anybody do this, and I get to wear pants with pockets.
Pockets!
And I get to have like one real hand, I don't have to wear 2 gloves. I get to make really ridiculous faces all day, which is also, I've learned, a key point of costumes for me is being able to stick out my tongue and make really weird faces all day long.
Gene Simmons is coming soon, I swear. No, it's not.
Oh, I'll join that. Can I be Paul Stanley with you? I'll be Starman.
Can I be the kitty one?
Yes.
Be the kitty one.
Yes.
I don't think I could wear those boots because I would just be way too tall.
Oh, you would be too tall.
I'm also 6'4".
So we'll put you in
We'll get the boots, but we'll just cut all of that leveling out and just slice them right down to like a 1/4 inch.
Oh, you should fake it, like put the shoe on top.
Oh,
so
yes.
So then
Yes,
it's like
yes.
your foot is coming halfway
So
over your
we'll
shin.
make reverse.
Yeah, reverse.
Reverse platform
Yeah.
shoes to make me small.
So instead of like being on your knees with shoes on your knees, it'll be like platforms built above your foot, and we'll fake a foot out of your knees and you stand. Flawless.
Smart.
I came to cosplay a kind of a weird route. I came kind of through Rocky Horror and shadow casting and stuff like that. So putting together costumes to imitate characters I had been doing, but not kind of in the comic book realm or pop culture realm. And it was this character that I wanted to do. It was Dark Helmet from Spaceballs, because I'd gone to my first convention in the mid-2000s and was like, that's really cool, I want to do that, but like I love Deadpool and there's 8 million Deadpools. Because I like out there characters, I like fun, zany characters, and in conceptualizing what I'm gonna do, I mean, yeah, I stay in my lane, like, and that's just my personal choice. I'm gonna stick to something that I think I'm gonna look solid in. And like, you'll never see me as Captain America. I will not look good as Captain America. So
You're also more comfortable. Like, I know I'm comfortable
Yeah.
when I'm in a costume that I'm more fit for.
Exactly. And I like being out there. So like, this faceplate comes up and down, but most of my characters, like, I'm not gonna do something in a helmet. I'm not gonna do something with like a faceplate where I'm not like emoting, because I actually like to play as the character. Like, I go pretty literal with that part of it. It's very irritating if you're my friend and I'm Ace Ventura, because you probably don't want to be around me for more than like 5 minutes. But that's where my thought process goes, is what's a fun character where I can like really get into it. And this was the first one, because I mean, I love Spaceballs, obviously, but he's such a fun character to be. Like, it's just out there and interacting with people and, you know, saying lines, most of which are inappropriate with the younger person audience, but...
She seems worldly. She seems very worldly.
Keep watching it every 5 years. There's all sorts of levels
You'll learn
there.
so much.
But yeah, so I do that. I do Caesar Flickerman from the Hunger Games, because he's a real out there, gregarious, you know, host, and I host events and stuff. So it's like an extension of who I am as a person. And Ace is just so fun, and even though I'm not tall and gangly like Jim Carrey, I got the walk and the movements and the head and the neck and all that stuff. So I look for that. You know, even if it's a character that I'm not originally super inspired by, but go, oh, that would be a good one. Like, I really was not into Zoolander, and my wife suggested I do Mugatu.
Oh, it's so good on YouTube.
And I just hadn't seen it all the way through one time.
Right now.
And then I started watching it, and I'm like, oh, dude, Mugatu's awesome. I should totally do Mugatu. And so I do that. I do a lot of oddball, out there characters, and usually from movies more so, because I can base off of a personality that's already existing. So yeah, that's just kind of where my process goes.
Yeah, we used to do, I think, a lot more of that when we started. The two of us would pick characters we wanted to be and run around as in person.
Yeah, like Carly, I had fun doing the voice and running around, but...
Yeah, it's just gotten harder as time's gone by. We have to be able to switch on and off between the character and being us. Like for me, like especially when we have a booth like here, I have to be able to switch back and forth between like taking photos as Venom for someone and then talking about props. So stuff like this is nice because I can do the face, be that character for a hot second, and then go back to, you know, just ignore this part and talk to me like a regular person again for a little while.
It's good for me right now on the right side. Like,
Yeah, you're just a normal person to us over here.
Yeah.
Like
So,
maybe a little something.
just a little
Deep
bit.
chocolate or something. Always all over some.
But yeah, did we answer that question? I think we did.
Yeah.
cool. You
How
got
about we
questions
take one
out
from the
here?
audience?
Yeah. We got more hands out there?
Didn't we?
Finn.
Could you guys like talk about like
safety when it actually comes to making your costumes?
Yes.
Yeah, do we want to talk about the eye story?
Well, we all have a close personal friend who literally lost an eye making props in his garage, doing things that were not the safe way. He was using a pressure caster, which is a pressure pot. You can buy them, and he modified the top. So he took a fairly safe piece of equipment and modified it to be more convenient. And it literally blew up in his face, and he no longer has an eye.
Yep.
Although he's really looking forward, he has the acrylic that blew out of the top, and there's enough of it that he can machine a new eyeball out of it. So
He's making lemons out of this lemonade.
He's building himself a Terminator eye that will actually
Oh, he's
glow.
got a whole bunch of like
He's
just
got-
sick eye patches and stuff. Like he's owning the hell out of it.
Matrix, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
So he's making it work, but he did have to lose an eye to get all these fun options.
Yeah.
But basically, like I use a lot of chemicals and stuff because I'm casting resin, I'm using silicones, I'm sanding Bondo, I'm spray painting, all that sort of stuff. Basic safety gear is both really, really, really cheap, really, really, really easy to get a hold of because you can get it at any hardware store, and totally essential. I wear safety glasses whenever I use any power tools, be it a drill, my drill press, a Dremel. If I'm sanding things with the powers, anything that makes stuff move faster than my hands can, I wear safety glasses. And my favorite ones are like the big square blocky dollar ones that you used to wear in like science class. Those ones, because they wrap like all the way around, nothing gets in there. I have some of the nice sunglass ones, and those are awful.
I even use those when I'm sewing, because if I'm working
Yeah.
on leather or thicker materials going through my machine, if you snap a needle, most of the time it'll stay in the thread, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it snaps in 3 parts and one's gonna go flying at your face. So when you're sewing thicker materials, and your machine isn't made for that,
And again,
safety goggles.
they're $1.
They're $1.
$1. You can't buy a new eye.
$1 for an eyeball.
Yeah.
I mean, do the math.
If you're doing a lot, like if you're doing things like sanding, really anything at all, wear a respirator. You can buy them at, again, any hardware store, just the generic 3M, like get the painter's respirator. If nothing else, you can get those little dust masks. Those are way better than nothing, and most of the time they're fine. But you go through them. I have one of the reusable ones with the cartridges, and those are only like, I think they're $22 at Home Depot. And those cartridges, since you're not using it like me, I use it every day. I go through a new set of cartridges every 3 to 4 weeks. The rest of you, it'll last you 6 months to a year. Whereas those paper ones are like $1 or $2 a piece, and you're gonna go through them every time. That'll cut out a lot of gas stuff that's also not good for you. If you're painting and you have to do it indoors for some stupid reason, open a window. If you're heating up any materials at all, foam, like foam is really popular right now. EVA foam, floor mats, that stuff, you can heat it up and heat form it, which is awesome. Open a window. I have a friend who killed their parakeet by heat forming foam indoors for 2 hours because it makes toxic gas.
You didn't smell it, but the bird did.
That's why you like the canary in a coal mine thing. That was a real thing, and that's why they just have tinier lungs, so they die faster. You're still poisoning yourself. Don't do that. Or kill your pets. You don't want to do that either.
And don't heat up plastic in your oven. You
Oh God, no.
Do not do that. No matter what tutorials are online saying it's fine, that's how you vac form things. Don't do it. That's how you make your food toxic.
But all those things said, basically, basic safety stuff. If you're using anything that's got gas or anything that if it smells bad, it's bad for you. That's pretty simple. If you can do it outside, do. If you can't, just open a window, exercise caution, keep that stuff away from your food. Wear safety gear, and again, all this stuff is also easier. The biggest thing that we do, as I know pretty much all cosplayers, is we do things really, really last minute, and we get in a big rush. If at all possible, give yourself some time, and again, those extra couple of seconds to do it just a little bit more safely will actually save you a lot of time in the long run if you're not running around trying to like bandage up bleeding wounds.
Yeah.
Like I was the night before we left. I sliced my thumb with a razor blade.
I've done it too.
It slowed me down a lot, 'cause then I had like a hand covered in bandages, and holding things with bandages is really hard. So I just didn't cut myself. It would have gone a lot faster.
I feel like I need a better scar or a war wound to fit the club.
You can like feel it on my thumb. You can't see it anymore, but I have a scar from like before Dragon Con working on baronets.
I just have achy bones.
Oh, I also have burns. Glue guns get really hot. Do not hot glue things onto your body. Oh my God. Yeah, your armor needs to stick to your bodysuit. Don't wear the bodysuit and hot glue to it. That is how you end up with scars, I promise.
So,
Cool. You got anyone else got a?
Bernie, do you have any? Do you have any like semi or permanent damage from any of your costumes?
Semi or permanent
Lose any feeling in
damage?
any like finger?
I've got nerve damage in 2 of my thumbs. So.
So how you doing?
No, I mean nothing that other than also being 36. But any day in this particular costume is going to be painful 2 ways. Your back, walking around in boots that are not well cushioned, even though I put insoles in them, which also, by the way, put insoles in everything you ever wear at a con, because most of the cons have concrete flooring that is not super nice on your body.
If they fit in your shoes.
Yes.
Big feet.
But yeah, so the lower back pain, but then this thing, every way that I have had this helmet, it'll hurt something. So my first helmet was fiberglass, which looked beautiful, but was like 10 pounds resting on my earlobes, which obviously is not good. And then Chad, who had the eye problem that we talked about, vac formed this for me over the fiberglass original, and this one's way lighter and awesome. But it was, I have to have it pretty tight on the strap, so it just permanently bruises my forehead for the day. So that's also super fun. I do Grand Admiral Thrawn from Star Wars Expanded Universe, and that's blue airbrush body paint. And to get alcohol-based paint off of you, you have to scrub also with alcohol.
Or you can use shaving gel. That's alcohol-based. You just take the foaming shave gel, cover yourself in it, give it 10 minutes, it'll wash right off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that because
It also looks really
of
fun while you're
off.
just covered in foam.
You're like a foam monster.
That's way better than the 10 layers of skin that came off when I was scrubbing my Grand Admiral Thrawn paint off of me and had blue in my ear for like a weekend.
Oh yeah.
The shaving cream is actually really good for getting a lot of stuff off your skin. Like, just found that out randomly.
Yeah, fun fact.
I think we saw a question over here from Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
When you're like making something, with a big cosplays, where do you end up starting? Because whenever I make something, I never know where to start and never know where to finish.
Oh, that's actually a good question.
That's a great question.
I start by drawing it out to see all the different pieces of a costume. So when I was making my Sailor Mars, there's the skirt, there's the bodysuit, there's the bows, there's the bib. So I tried to draw out each part so I knew each task, and I knew each thing to do for each part of the costume. So it's very organized that way. And then off to go buy materials. Whee! Shopping.
Yeah. I think that was the thing that I learned from you actually, was to lay out the whole project first, to really think through what all the parts are. Because a lot of times it's like, oh, that's just a suit with some stuff. Yeah, no problem.
But the stuff is 50 different things.
Yeah, and as you work along, you'll find that these things are different details, or the parts that you thought were one part are actually 4 parts, and stuff grows. If you
watch it in different formats or look at it, depending, there's if you're doing anything from film or TV, the way your TV is formatted or the quality of the media that you're using changes the color and detail. And so you've got to hunt down.
Yeah, that is your life.
Matching colors.
Yes.
It's the worst. But then I know the 2 of us, we're big fans of the big stuff. We really like when you first start a thing, we start with the thing that we can sort of feel accomplishment really fast.
It's like making the bodysuit. Done. Bodysuit with sleeves.
Yeah,
you need something to
yeah.
create momentum.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like any project. You got to get something done so that you it's real then. You know?
Yeah, it becomes real. There's no going back.
And then your momentum will build on what you're going to keep doing. But if you don't get that first thing started, it's like, oh, I have this thought in my head, but it's just not becoming something until you take action on it.
Yeah, and so it's supposed to be fun. I mean, sometimes those biggest, easiest things can be the most fun. I know some people start with the worst thing first to get it out of the way, and I don't like to do that, because I don't want to start with the worst, because then why would I keep going? So I'll start with something to feel really good about it, or whatever that is. It's going to be different in everything.
And I'd also, what was it?
So it's like making your way up to
Yeah, easier to
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah, that's kind of the way that I know I tend to do it, is start with the bigger stuff and work towards the little details. But also a lot of times those little details you're going to be a lot pickier about, and other people might not notice. So sometimes if you end up short on time, you just don't do the little stuff.
Because no one will notice except you, we swear.
You will always be your harshest critic.
There's no 3 lines on this, and I didn't care. There's
Yep.
no
Nobody's
See?
gonna notice. You got the shapes.
She's doing it right, by the way, guys. She's having a good time with this. That's what you're supposed to do.
I'd also tell you one good tip is there's an app that's becoming popular called Cost Planner. And it helps you make notes, take reference pictures so that you go hunting for things, or just keep track of what you have and haven't done. That's all in there. You can also keep track of your costs too if you're trying to do it on a budget. It's a pretty cool, helpful app.
Those of us who aren't good with technology use this thing called Excel.
Or Post-its. I'm a big
Yeah.
Post-it guy.
I have lists, and then money goes into Excel. So I'm like, hey, maybe I should stop spending money on this costume. It's getting out of control.
I say, yeah.
Do you ever cannibalize like one costume to make parts for another costume?
Oh, yeah.
All the
Yeah,
time.
I was super excited the first time I got to do that. My Ant-Man, actually, the gloves and boots are for my Power Guy costume, which is, we once upon a time did a gender bent Justice League. I'm Power Girl. So I got to reuse those. I've never been able to reuse parts before.
And it looks great.
Yeah, the bodysuit is scraps of her Spider-Woman fabric from her Spider-Woman costume. But yeah, when you can recycle stuff, especially if you don't have to modify it, so it still just works, that's the greatest. Because then you don't have like more pairs of shoes or whatever running around.
I got through Star Wars Celebration weekend 4 days on one pair of boots that worked
That's
for.
the dream.
I know, but it
And you don't have
sucked
to
because
pack
that's a
them all.
hometown con where I'm driving to it and can pack
Yeah, so you
everything.
could have brought all the
and
boots.
out here, I couldn't bring normal shoes to wear because I had 3 different costumes with 3 different shoes that would not work for each other. So there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely repurpose. If
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't need to buy something new, don't buy something new.
I think I have a bodysuit that went through a couple different Black Widows, Black Cat, just a basic black bodysuit.
Oh yeah,
Used for so many
that first black one
costumes.
got really abused.
Yeah, it had to go away. It died, but while I used it, it got through at least 3 costumes. Which-
And it can be on the cheap. Like these are the basic superhero boot.
Oh yes, those classic boots.
The fun
Most
fact,
Han
yes.
Solos you see probably have this boot and basically just anything that needs tall black boots, and they're like $30 online, so you don't need to go cray doing stuff. Like, yeah, it's great.
My Flash boots are those painted yellow.
There you go.
I think I used those for Wonder Woman, and I put covers on them for Superman.
That actually, boot covers is a really great technique.
Mhm.
Making a shoe or boot cover and utilizing the same underpiece, but having it adhere in some way, you know, maybe via Velcro or something like that, or just tack it, something that you can take off of it. Some fabrics like vinyls and pleather, you can pop like hot glue right off of it and doesn't.
If you put a Velcro around the base of the boot,
Yeah.
you just
Exactly.
slip them on. It's so good.
And the same black boots become white, red, yellow, whatever color you need.
A lot cheaper and less room in the suitcase.
Yeah. Yeah. See this guy over here?
Yeah. I got a project question. How do you clean these? I find they're not machine washable or.
Some are and some aren't.
Yeah.
Dry cleaner.
Dry cleaners are not always to be trusted either.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff gets washed in the sink.
Yeah, Febreze, spritzing with the alcohol.
Lauren taught me the vodka technique.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
So
vodka.
vodka is a great disinfectant.
Yeah.
And my gloves, which are probably the worst thing out of any of my costume pieces that stinks and is hard to wash, is these things. So just turn them inside out, give them a light spritz of vodka, and
They'll evaporate.
yep.
Yeah.
And trusting like dry, if you can, depending on where you live. I mean, we're all from LA, so I'm trying to like give you ideas that can be found here. But if you find dry cleaners that are a little higher end or that have worked in entertainment at all,
Yeah.
they'll be able to handle, you know, specialty costume pieces.
If you're going for like the $3 dress dry clean,
No,
your
probably
fabrics
not.
may bleed.
Oh, if you have
The
glue
dyes
on there
will
from
dye.
anything, that's just going to
Gone.
be disgusting and terrible.
Yeah.
It'll ruin the costume. Yeah.
A lot for Febreze.
Yeah. Mario.
For you,
Mhm.
what made you get started on making cosplays for other people rather than for you? Like, what made you start that?
I don't do too many commissions for other people, but when I do them, it's because it's an interesting project or it's something that I would like for myself, but I'm going to test it on somebody else. Or it's something that I find interesting, but I would never wear, so I'll do it for a friend or for somebody else who asks me. And mainly spandex-based commissions because I like spandex. But you do it a lot more than I do.
That's how I actually got into making props, was when I found out in 2009 that other people paid people for their props and didn't like for their costumes and didn't make everything themselves. When I first started this at San Diego, I assumed that everyone was either like me, a fan, made it himself, or an industry professional who cheated and just like did this like in their off hours at the shop. And when I found out that that wasn't true, and a lot of people just bought stuff from other people, I went, oh, I could do that. People should pay me. I would like their money. And also, I knew there were a lot of things that I wanted to make. Like, I really love making helmets. And I hate wearing helmets. Helmets are awful. Bernie knows this.
You see the band around my forehead?
Yeah.
And no matter what you do, they're always hot.
Totally.
So I love making them, they're fun, but I hate to wear them. So there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to make, and I knew that taking commissions was going to be a way for me to make those things and have the fun of like, look at this cool thing I made. Here you go.
It's also cheaper to make in multiple, so once you have a base, and then you can cast, and so.
As long as somebody's buying multiples.
Well, yes.
With the handful of times it happens, it's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to do for other people that I didn't want to deal with. Like, again, like armor is really fun to make. I don't wear armor. And like for myself, most of the stuff I wear is spandex now. I have the closest thing to armor is my Monarch costume from the Venture Brothers. And we've worn those costumes so many times now that the excitement and the fun of it is mostly eclipsed by the dread of how awful they are to wear.
We just know what's coming.
That's what I'm getting with this one.
Yeah, I've had permanent nerve damage in both my thumbs from that costume over the years. I've probably lost a large chunk of my eyebrows from tearing out the eyebrows every time. But you know, it used to be totally worth it.
I just get them waxed, I mean.
Might we recommend Spirit Gum next time? It's fun.
But I see another hand.
Yeah, I have an allergy to latex, so I've had trouble finding either non-latex makeup or stuff to make prosthetics. Can you recommend some other material I should look at?
Yeah, they have silicone-based prosthetics,
Yeah.
and you can glue it on with silicone adhesive. It's a little more expensive, but yeah, latex allergies are not uncommon in the film world. You can, look for silicone prosthetics. They'll be a little pricier. Silicone adhesive is also nicer on your skin, so you kind of get a benefit that way.
It's a bit more expensive, but also a silicone prosthetic will last you until the end of time if you treat it well, whereas a latex one eventually will break down no matter what.
And I think Third Degree is a silicone-based, like sculpting sort of thing. It's kind of like scar wax or liquid latex. Third Degree is, I believe, what it's called. And you can use that to build like zombie or something like that on your face without the allergy problems.
Yeah, the stuff is definitely out there.
Yeah, it is. But there's no reason you would know otherwise, because you'd really have to search specifically for silicone-based items. Yeah.
I thought I saw, was it you right there? You guys know, I thought I saw a hand go up.
Do it. Oh yeah.
Crossplay, is there something you should know before you attempt to do it?
Have fun.
Yeah, I'll say that it's really fun. You should totally know that. Like, we did the Gender Bend Justice League, and we did it on April Fool's because we thought it was fun, it was funny, and then everyone really dug it.
And I had no idea what I was getting into at all. None. I didn't know it. I'd never heard of gender bending. I didn't know what crossplay was really. I knew nothing about like the sexuality and cosplay stuff or any of the weird gender issues. I had no idea about any of that stuff. They just said, oh yeah, we want to do everyone as if they were, so all the men would be as if they were women, and all the women as if they were men. It's like, so what would Power Girl look like as a guy? I'm like, that makes sense to me. Yeah, I'll do that. It's basically my Spartan costume, just in white.
I want to like jump into my first crossplay. I mean, after years in Rocky Drag, you know, I feel like it would be appropriate, but I just don't know what. I'm not gonna do a shirtless character. It's just not me. Yeah, I don't know. Got any ideas?
And you gotta find your crossplay spirit animal.
Yes.
There's one out there. Now I'm gonna start looking.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, there's people are going to use those different terms differently. So some people get really fussy about if it's crossplay or gender bent or whatever. I don't know.
And I guess I can say, as a woman, when you crossplay, you're either going to be too sexy, or they're going to put you on a pedestal for not making it sexy. So you get a lot of trouble in that regard, which is a little annoying because I just like this character and this is how I'm wearing this costume, so stop it. So you just have to kind of go in with the knowledge that because you're going outside of your box, your female box, into a male character, people are going to have opinions. Mm-hmm. And it is true for men too, but I think men, it's found as a funny thing.
Yeah.
first,
um,
opposed to a social statement,
Yeah,
which I guess I can't dress up as Superman without it being a social statement. Maybe I like Superman.
yeah. That was one of the things that I found was a little weird was that either a lot of people assumed I was gay as Power Guy, which was whatever.
What a compliment.
Yeah, I really didn't care. I had someone ask me once in an interview what it was like to be a gay icon. Which was weird because I was like, well, one, I'm not. I feel like you should ask a gay person that. Two, I also don't think I'm just a dude. I'm literally just in my underwear. Like, I don't know what's special about that. People do this a lot. Like, swimmers wear less than I do and no one calls them gay. So it was strange, and as a guy, it's either like funny, like, oh, look at that guy, like, and
bearded slave Leia and all that.
Mhm.
yeah, I also wear the slave Leia bikini. Well, I can only wear the bottom half. I don't fit her top half. I have too many ribs.
Too many ribs.
But yeah. So you're gonna you can potentially get some weird flack from different people. But again, if you're having fun with it,
That's what really matters.
as long as you're having fun and you're comfortable, who cares?
Yeah, too many ribs is why I don't do shirtless cosplay.
All those ribs. We really gotta stop eating ribs. No more barbecue for us. Any other questions?
Yeah.
When it comes to like actually like traveling or transporting like your costume, and let's say you have like a large one like that comes with like a lot of parts, yeah, even like bigger stuff than that. Like, how do you go about that? Like, how do you like actually?
Oh, that's like an art form.
You have
It's
to.
an art. That's when you talk to Kamui Cosplay, the wizard of baggage.
Well, so there's two ways that you can tackle that. One, I mean, you pick and choose what you take where. Some things you just can't do.
Yeah.
My wife Lauren does Harley, and the hammer does not go anywhere that we can't drive to. She takes the little gun with the cork in it instead. So sometimes that simply is the case. I knew with this I would have to travel with this one, so I use a bass drum case. But I have to, the edge is just too wide for the case, so I have to pad it up. The lid on the case can manage the edge of the helmet without warping it, but I have to pad it up to just the right level that the corners that flay out right here go just over the edge. And then I use all that dead space to pack other costumes to be efficient with it.
You've learned to master Tetris with your luggage,
yeah,
basically.
I've seen some people that make their own cases, that take large cases and cut the foam out to be protective to their props and be able to do that.
It just gets pricey, but it's worth it to protect your items sometimes.
Yeah, again, it's a pick and choose of what you can take, what you can modify. Like my Hawkeye that I was wearing yesterday.
Yeah.
That was made actually for a convention in Boston. I went to PAX East a couple years ago, and so that was designed to fit into a carry-on. So like the quiver actually breaks apart and folds flat.
I was just going to say that's the other way is make it modular.
And it was designed that way from the ground up. The arrows are only half arrows. They go into a little plate, so the plate comes out, so everything lays flat inside my suitcase. I just pack inside it. If you can't do that, like Dragon Con is where we'll see people, because Dragon Con is a huge one in Atlanta if you're not familiar. And you will see the most giant elaborate costumes there, and a lot of people travel with those. And some people
drive 12 hours.
Some people will drive like 12, 14 hours to get their stuff there in the car. We have our friend Gary. He makes lots of armor from Borderlands, but it's all foam, so it doesn't weigh anything. So he just boxes it all up and ships it UPS, because it has no weight to it, and it's foam, so the box can get bounced around and it's not going to get beat up. But if you're doing like Halo and it's made out of fiberglass, you don't really want to do that. Plus shipping is going to be $150. So it's a trade-off. If you can Tetris stuff and fit it in a suitcase, great. Our things like the Wonder Woman and her new Wasp, that always goes in the carry-on. That never leaves our side.
Yeah.
That's real chrome.
I will fight anyone who tries to take my suitcase from me.
I'd say that the biggest pain for me has actually been wig travel. Wanting wigs to travel without getting messed up, and these are like, in some cases, $200-300 wigs.
We wear them on the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, like helmets and stuff. Yeah, we wear all our helmets on the plane. You're allowed a personal item with like one piece of luggage.
Yeah, a purse, a luggage, and
you're allowed a carry-on, a personal item like a backpack or a purse, your clothing, and a piece of headgear. So we wear our helmets. So she wore Ant-Man, and I wore Star-Lord on the plane. And we didn't have the little like underfoot space in front because we were behind the bulkhead thing in the plane, so we couldn't put it on the ground. So they made us wear it during the takeoff and landing.
I was bringing 2 wigs out because I did Caesar Flickerman last night, and I'm doing Ace tomorrow, and they fit in the bag well, but then when you stuff the bag in the overhead compartment, I didn't want them to get smashed.
Are those your carry-on? Because I'm actually super
Yeah, that
curious
was my
about this.
carry-on.
Okay,
That was
so you
my
don't
carry-on.
have your like suitcase? Or is it like your purse?
No, my suitcase is Castle Corsetry.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I didn't have, whatever I could fit in the dead space of the helmet tub was my space for costuming and regular clothes. So, but yeah, so I took out the Ace Ventura wig and wore that on the plane.
Nice. I think I one year had to have my Quinn wig, so I had a pink bouffanted wig. But I also had a helmet, so I don't really know how we did that.
That was dread year, right?
I think that was dread year.
At least those things are giant buckets. So.
Yeah, so maybe we just shoved it in there somehow.
One good tip though, this doesn't, I mean, for what I had to do fitting 2 wigs in a carry-on, this wouldn't work. But in some cases, if you're just trying to travel one really delicate wig, Build-A-Bear boxes are awesome for wig protection.
Did not know that.
Old Rocky Horror thing.
Gonna look into that then.
But yeah, shipping, like moving your stuff, shipping your stuff is an art.
One involving lots of t-shirts that guard armor when you're packing it away.
Oh yeah, you pack your stuff in your other stuff, basically. And like Ray said, if you've got empty spaces, you fill those with other things. Like if you want socks, that goes in your boots.
Yeah, which is also how you lose things. But
All my socks and underwear for the trip
Yep.
and t-shirts go inside of that. Yeah. Use that dead space.
And Mario.
Out of all your cosplays you've done, which one was your favorite so far?
Oh, it's so hard. I think Wonder Woman ranks pretty high for me as far as a good middle ground of like, I love the armor I have for it, it's a comfortable costume, it's an iconic costume. But as far as one that I've worked really hard on, I'm really proud of the effort I put in, Maleficent is up there. Because my Maleficent's a Disney designer doll version of it. So I used real leather and I made a whole corset, I patterned it all from scratch. It was yards and yards of stretch velvet and satin, lots of patterning, counterweighting the cape so it wouldn't choke
And
me.
that wig.
That wig, yeah, I had to ventilate a lace front widow's peak, so just, because you can't just buy a widow's peak apparently, so I had to ventilate a lace front myself. And then I had these bunny ear cones on top of my head that we'd wrap my hair around, and you'd get out the hair spray, treat it like it's spray paint.
Yep.
Trying to get all that up
It
there.
down, and we body paint her green.
And we had to custom blend that body paint too.
Yeah, so it's all.
So there's a lot of unique engineering things we did on that I'm really proud of, and I think are very interesting. Sculpting, lighting, all the things are in that costume.
Making the staff, all the lights and the sculpting and everything.
But people are like, oh, Maleficent, that's cool. I worked so hard.
Yeah.
Whatever. Superman's awesome.
Um,
Superman is so comfy.
Yeah.
I love that. Wearing it at Comic-Con again this year.
My current favorite is Ant-Man, which was, again, kind of an accidental. I made that helmet for somebody else originally, and I made 2 to have basically a spare. I got them both chromed, and then last year at San Diego Comic-Con, found out that the cast of the new movie was doing a signing, so I got the helmet signed, and then it became my helmet.
Can't give that up.
So, and then one day, like what, 2 days before Dragon
It
Con?
was seriously like the weekend before we were leaving on Wednesday.
Yeah, someone asked me like, hey, are you gonna bring the helmet? I'm like, well, I don't have a costume, and she's,
And I was like, wait a second.
yeah. and
I
she-
think I may have just enough.
Yeah, made the mistake of saying that she had enough fabric that she could make that costume in a day.
And I was like, you want it?
And so she made me a bodysuit in like 6 hours.
It was like an afternoon. I had an afternoon to make that costume.
And it's super, like, for whatever reason, that particular suit is really, really comfortable. That helmet, unlike every other helmet I have, is actually really comfortable to wear. Although I can't hear, you can only hear through the front. So
So when I'm
everything.
behind going, babe, babe,
So
babe.
all the sound comes from the front of me, so you have like no directional hearing. So if people are behind you, it just sounds like they're further away in front of you, which is really weird. And I literally can only see about this much forward. So I also can't see down because there's that thing. So people will hand me stuff. They'll go like shake my hand, and I have to like find the hand. But other than that, it's really comfortable, and people really seem to like it. I get to show off the shiny prop that I made, which is the helmet. And so it's fun, it's easy, and people really like it. A lot more people know that character than I thought did until I wore the costume. And so it kind of hits a lot of those same buttons too. So it's my currently one of my favorites, that and Flash. I have a Flash costume, which again is a spandex suit with some stuff on it. But it's clean, it's nice. And I also like characters that I can run around and have fun in.
Like
Villains.
what Bernie was saying. Having
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, villains are fun. Like this one, I get to make ridiculous faces to people, but the rest of the time, like with kids and stuff, I'm not always sure what to do. Flash, like I have a Superman costume that I always feel kind of uncomfortable in, so I don't know how to be that much of a role model. Whereas Flash, I can be goofy. I can get down to the kids level and just be a fun, goofy guy. Barry Allen is way more my personality than Clark Kent. So.
What about you, Barry?
That,
I know.
You
That's
know?
how I know how I think of you as Dark Helmet.
Yeah, well,
Followed by Caesar.
funny thing is, I almost have to reintroduce myself to friends because
Oh, yeah, 'cause they
It
were
took
that.
me 3 times to know who you were.
And I was like,
Before I knew you.
I knew you in this costume for years, and then I knew you for like a year, and they were still separate people, and it took like 3 conventions where I was like, that guy sounds just like Bernie when he talks.
my favorite story of that was after one of the awful Frankenstein shows. And I'm walking into dinner with my wife Lauren, that's good friends with everyone, and
She let me model her stuff last night here at the fashion show.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
she was very excited that actually that
It looked so good. I was so happy.
And so I'm like massaging her shoulder or something, walking into dinner with like a whole table full of cosplayers, and Ivy Doom Kitty, who I've met, like Lauren does some of her costume stuff, so she's been over at our house, all right? But like I'm usually in a schleppy t-shirt or something on the couch on my computer doing something, or she's met me in that, so she knows me in this thing, and or Caesar, a lot of makeup, big wig, like nothing that resembles what I look like as a person. And so I come in, rub Lauren's shoulder, and she's like, "Who's the creeper with Lauren and where's Bernie?" And I could hear it. And someone at the table's like, "That's Bernie." And she's like, "What?"
Yeah, I think I knew you in Dark Helmet, and you came up to me in Caesar, and you're just like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Hi."
Oh, I always get the hey, what's that?
And like I think you left was like, "Oh, it was Bernie." Oh God, I'm an awful person.
Yeah.
It just means you're good at this game of cosplay.
I love getting in that character. Even
Yeah.
when I do Super Troopers, and that's a fun one because I just get to, again, it's a character, and you get to mess with people. It's so much fun. And I just walk up and, the mustache, the hat, and the glasses, and just like stare right in someone's face. And
Oh, one of these days, you need to do a costume but not tell anyone you're doing it. Total secret costume and see which of your friends figures it out. I'm pretty sure Ivy and me are not going to get it.
That's going to be fun.
And it's
That's
going to
actually
be a
great.
fun game for you.
That's great.
Lots of makeup.
I'm now taking suggestions on what to do with that.
And it's a gender bent one. So we got gender bent
Yes.
for you and the costume to confuse your friends.
Yes.
So getting Bernie's list together.
I'd say that Dark Helmet it's so silly. It's so freaking silly that it's so much fun. But I would say maybe my favorite right now is Ace Ventura. It's the same level of silliness, but I can move through the con easier, both physically and also not being stopped as much for photos. And so I can get from point A to point B, which is a plus.
Very
sometimes.
important sometimes.
Yeah, there's something to be said for just being able to like walk around sometimes when you want to.
Yes, totally. I mean, it's so fun to get pictures and all that stuff like that. I mean, why we don't do it for nothing, That's the fun part, right? But that one's a good middle ground where I can move around. It's also comfortable, and I mean, it's regular clothing that's styled right, and then like the fun wig. And even the wig is like not excruciatingly hot or anything uncomfortable, unless it's Dragon Con, because
And everything's hot and
everything is sticky.
It's Dragon Con.
Yes.
You could be in a Spartan costume. It's still hot and sticky.
Yup. And then hosting a lot of stuff, like when I'm trying to bring a high level of energy to the stage, this sucks. Absolutely sucks for it. And I like, whenever a con asks me to host something, I'm like, did you want me to do it in character? And then which character did you want? And I'm just crossing my fingers they don't ask for Dark Helmet.
Don't say Dark Helmet.
Because it's just, it as fun as it is to be the character, but you go on stage and then this thing is just big and bulky and bouncing around, and the heat stays in there, and it's echoing, and all the lights, yeah. But
yeah, I have certain outfits that I will host in that and kind of not.
I couldn't imagine if you guys had to stay on stage for like an hour in the Monarch costumes.
Wouldn't happen.
That would be.
We're too old and grumpy.
Yeah,
because that pulls, right, and it makes you
little bit.
feel differently. So you get into that, you know, and you're just like,
The one plus side to wearing the Monarch is because he's a jerk.
Yeah. The grumpier we actually
Yeah,
get.
but it's like as long as we do the voice, we can say whatever we want. So I can be legitimately mad at people as long as I do it in the voice. So I can call people names, I can be ornery and just like shoulder people out of the way. And if I yell in the voice as I do it, people laugh because
Yeah,
it's a joke.
people want a photo, but you're running. Look, I don't have time for this. It's fine.
I get to say I'm surrounded by assholes all day long and nobody cares.
No, there's certain perks to certain costumes that you don't think about when you're making it, but then you're in the thick of it and you're like, yeah, that was a good idea.
Yeah. Oh, the other
Go
thing
me.
that I learned with the Monarch is the Monarch makes the most absurd, sneery face because he's a cartoon character.
So when
It's
you're
just like-
half yawn.
So yeah, my best faces I've learned are when I'm actually yawning and trying not to. So I don't have to cover it up. So if someone's taking a photo, I just have to yawn. I just like go with it and just fight the yawn, but only halfway. So it works really
That's one
well.
of the fun parts to me about this process, because I'm not a really good builder like you guys, but it's practicing stuff like that in the mirror and getting your poses right or your
I was doing that
characterizations
on
down.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Practicing my new costume, my wasps. Gotta find
Yeah.
how do I work in this?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And-
I spent like an hour in Power Guy the first time I wore it in front of a mirror learning like the eyes up here thing that Power Girl does to get the eyebrow, like everything on the right side of the face, because I had to do that.
Part of the fun becoming the character.
I watched Ace on loop for like a week just to absorb every line and just both movies, so that if anyone said something, I'd be
Yeah,
able to
you'd be
snap
ready.
right back with like Bumblebee tuna, like, and just do all the fun stuff. And that character study really is to me a lot of the fun of the process too. I've been starting to pick up some comics because I am going to do a couple more mainstream comic characters later on in the year probably. Well, I'm going to build a bow and then use it for both Hawkeye and Green Arrow. So doing that and kind of...
Reusing costume bits.
Yep. May as well make one cool ballistic bow. I'll figure out whether I give a crap if it's green or not, and probably not care.
Just put a little sleeve over part of it. It's green, now it's purple, it's fine.
That might be interesting, just that.
Did you get the electrical tape and you just run that strip down the middle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there
you go.
Switch it out. And I'm Roy.
But yeah, and so starting to read and some of the more marquee storylines and stuff like that, and just kind of understand what the character is kind of cool.
And I think we have time for one more question, so if there's another question.
With the fun, colorful hair.
What would you think of OC, like original character cosplay?
I think it's really fun, and you just kind of have to recognize that people aren't going to recognize you. You have to really be okay with doing it for yourself,
Yeah,
which is a ton of fun.
Yeah, that's one that's going to be totally for you.
Yeah, so it's your own build, it's your own craft, it's your
Yeah,
own
there's that dude, the
design.
big robot that's always outside of San Diego every year that people take photos with, and it's like...
It's cool.
It's cool. It's this giant freaking awesome robot build, and it's neat. The guy gets into the suit and like he's in almost every recap of San Diego for like every year.
But you also have to be okay with that not happening, that people don't want your photo because they don't know who you are. And that's not a bad thing, because if you're loving it and you loved building it, that's the fun part.
It goes back to cosplay being about fun.
Yeah.
So if that's your fun, if your fun is that creative process of that original character concept, then do that. You know, how do you feel in the costume is part of it, right? Does that costume make you feel like a different person, like this other person that's cool, that you want to be, that you want to emulate? You know, that's all part of it.
Yeah.
We even have had categories in certain comic book conventions, like in their masquerades, for OC characters. I don't see it very often, but some cons recognize that, and we have the categories just to let you guys show off your stuff.
Yeah. So.
Another one I love is Captain Secretman. He's like the guy with the steampunk with the wings. Is at a lot of the SoCal cons.
Oh, I'm sure I've seen that.
He's got awesome hydraulic wings that go up and do crazy stuff. And like they pop out and then they expand and fan down to like 3 levels of wing. And it's just this really awesome steampunk costume that's his own design, and it's totally neat. And you know, I imagine he has a lot of fun doing that. He's got a speaker built into the whole mouthpiece. It's super cool.
But I think we're going to get
I think
booted
that's
now.
pretty much it.
If you guys have any more questions, come by our booths. We're at 1625.
109.
And we like talking to people about building costumes, so come on by.
See you guys.
And if you want to hear more about props and stuff, I'm actually on a panel with Voltman Props, Harrison Cricks. We're doing intro to props right after this. We were going to try and steal this room, but it looks like there is a panel after us, so that's not